and leadership experiences that I've had. And, you know, when you start thinking about that, I think back all the way to preteen time. And I was one of those kids that found different ways to be in leadership groups, drove my mother crazy, driving me here and there and all around. I actually was raised in Oakdale, went there my entire K-12 educational experience, and then moved to Modesto. I decided I thought I was going to be a teacher right off, but I was always interested in accounting and business and all of those concepts. And in fact, back then in school, you kind of got pushed in that direction. So I have a lot of business background. I did get a degree in business. I was in banking and some real estate aspects of that, and in Oakdale, in fact. And then all of a sudden, I had this I was called upon to do some interior decorating, and lo and behold, I started getting exposure and ended up opening my own business for a while, especially when my children were younger. But I did return to school because I did have that teaching back gnawing at me, and I did get a teaching credential, and I started teaching in Tracy. First year of teaching, I was tapped on by the principal to be on the leadership team. Again, it seems like my heart just keeps tugging in the area of leadership. I moved over to Sylvan Union School District. And if any of you know Mrs. Marianne Sanders, first year I worked for her, she tapped me on the shoulder and said, you got to get back to school, and you know, you really should think about being an administrator. So I went back to school, got my admin credential and my master's degree in administration at that time. I became a principal. A couple years into principalship, I was asked by the assistant superintendent for HR, to join the negotiations team. Fell in love with HR. And I know that's funny because a lot of people like, why would you want to be in HR? But I did, I fell in love with it. And at the time, Sylvan did not have an opening to move up into the district office. So I did go to work for Turlock Unified for a couple years as their HR director, which gave me a wealth of experience. I was tapped on the shoulder again to go back to Sylvan. I became their assistant superintendent for HR, and that was a great experience. Again, you know, you have those people that come into your life. Dr. John Halverson, a mentor of mine as well, encouraged me to stay active in our community, which was really a yearning for me. And it's hard in education to do that at times. But I was active with Rotary. I was past president for Modesto Sunrise. I did get involved in AXA as their charter president, which is a California Administrative Association. And I did stay, and I was involved in the chamber several years ago with their business ed. And so that was back when Cecil was in charge of the chamber at that time. So with all of that, you know, being a school superintendent, you are the CEO. We had 13 schools, well, Sylvan still does. I was the superintendent for over 800 employees and 8,400 students. So it was a large organization to oversee. And I just saw the asset with working with a leadership team. My leadership team was about 52 members. And so I really did a lot of digging and going into Lencioni's work and Covey's work. And I really believe that school systems are a business. Our business is our client is our students. And so I worked with my leadership team, and I truly believe that the best thing we can do as leaders is build that leadership capacity in everyone in the organization, no matter what you do. And so I worked hard as my career and superintendent with that. I hope I left a positive mark. So when I decided to retire, working in the educational system for over 24 years, but still keeping my hands in with the business sector as well, I really wanted to give back and try to share some of the inspirations I had been inspired with by mentors. And I saw that there's a need in our community for building leadership capacity with many levels. nonprofit, still in the educational world, and then also in business. So I opened a consulting business. I do everything from training. I work with teams on effective team building and capacity building. I coach individuals. Right now I'm coaching not only a district level administrator at a school district in our county, I'm also coaching a couple professionals. And I really like to use the whole concept of, inspirational coaching and looking for that purpose in people's lives. And so I'm so excited. This is a new endeavor. This is my first year with my business, but I just feel so stimulated and excited about everything that's going on in Modesto, and I want to be a part of it.
Sorry, I was on mute there. I will share, I've known Deborah for quite a long time now, and obviously more when she was on the education side and I was on the parent side, but that's where we first connected, also through Mary Ann Sanders. If you haven't met her, and you do, at some point she will nudge you and say, you should try this, because she just has that knack about people of knowing kind of the pathway that they should follow. In Deborah's effort of launching her new consulting business, she has offered to be a co-chair of our Women in Business program, which, interesting, having so many women on the call today. That meets today at 4 o'clock. So if you'd like to jump back in for another one, Deborah will be sharing other parts, I'm sure some of the same, but some other elements of what she just shared in that meeting later today. And she's going to be our first presenter for our Business U program, which we're bringing back. And she's going to do a 2-part series on leadership traits in the workplace, correct? Did I get that kind of right?
Yes.
So that's awesome. So I'd like to open it up. Anyone that would like to ask her any questions or have any thoughts to share from that, please feel free to unmute and do so.
Hi, Deborah. I had a question. So I'm in mainly the environmental field, but it kind of spans into looking at environmental justice and equity, and both equitable and economic development economic development that is equitable, right? And so I wonder if or what perspective does the services that you provide through your consulting firm or company, is there any focus, or do you plan to have a focus on looking at equity as far as development for potentially, disadvantaged communities and their perspective?
Yeah, that is something that I hadn't thought about in the sense of working with an entire community or portions of a community. However, I've been a part on the steering committee for many years with Cradle to Career. And so that is such a strong aspect of it. How I can answer your question is, working in the school system, the issue of equity is something that everyone struggles with to this day, because it's not about equal, it's about the support systems and put into place, allowing everyone to have an opportunity to be successful, right? And so that's a very good question and makes me think a little bit more in that aspect. I will say that in our communities, like even in Sylvan District, and people will look at Sylvan District and think of it as a much more affluent district, and there are parts of the district that are. However, there are pockets in Sylvan that are very underprivileged children and families. And working with the Sylvan STEAM program, and I'm only sharing this with you because I really believe that when you talk about equity, it's about bringing in more to that portion of need. And with the STEAM school, that's what the concept was as well. They brought in a lot of the state of the arts with STEAM into a neighborhood, and the concept was that it's just for those children. And so, sometimes you'll build things in a community, but other people get to take advantage of it because you'll do it more like a magnet. So I hadn't thought about how I would work with your question, but that gives me a lot to think about. So thank you.
Of course, I appreciate the response. I know it's not directly related to your specific presentation on your background, but I definitely appreciate kind of thinking through that. I had a follow-up, if that's okay, Trish.
Sure, yes, go ahead.
Not so much on that question, but for the Women in Business group, do they have, I may not be able to make today's meeting, but does it have the same structure as in a recurring meeting on? Okay. So is that something that can be found in the website?
Yeah, you can go to our community calendar, and we're building it out on our featured calendar from our website. What I would directly encourage you to do is leave your email address in the chat box for Felicia, and she will be able to, we'll add you to our e-blast list. Those which are coming out all the time, the link is right embedded in our e-blast, so you can register for these.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Anyone else? Meseret, since you've joined us, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Meseret Girmay. I'm the employment specialist at the International Rescue Committee based in Turlock and Modesto.
A lot of Turlock representing today. Veronica, would you introduce yourself, please?
Yeah. Yes. Veronica Hernandez with the Modesto Nuts. I run their marketing program.
Thank you. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you.
Yes, anyone that wants to leave their email address for us here, we'll capture them and get you added to the e-blast list. Anything else for Deborah? Or anything for Deshay before we go to Tim? All right, Tim, would you like to offer your updates you wanted to share with us today?
Sure, here comes your daily fire hose. Am I the only male on the call today?
Yes, you are.
I was wondering earlier, Tim. I think you are. You are definitely outnumbered.
Representing dudes. Okay, Deborah, thank you so much for the story. What an inspiration. I've been wondering if we could use your consulting services here at the city to do some team building. I'll reach out to you on the side. But thanks for the update. A lot of energy. Loved it. So what's going on in economic development? As you guys probably know, we shifted into the purple tier. California lifted at the statewide level the regulations. Anytime that happens in economic development, that throws us into kind of a predicament. It shifts our motives of what we're working on. We get a lot of incoming calls of what people can do, what they can't do, what grants are available, what loan programs, all that fun stuff. So it really shifts our priorities, but we're kind of in responsive mode to businesses in the COVID crisis. Two kind of big programs we're working at the city to help businesses out right now. If you guys have been ordering from Instacart or Grubhub or DoorDash, you've probably seen the exuberant costs that are associated with that. So if you look at Oakland and San Francisco, those are two examples. Chicago's done it as well. They've put a fee cap. Well, I went out, we did business outreach. We talked to about 30 businesses yesterday. And what we heard overwhelmingly was the percentage that they're charging is anywhere between 25 and 30%. That's getting the business is eating about 20% of that, and then another 10% is being passed on to the consumer. So what we're looking at doing is putting a citywide cap on that and saying you can't go over 15%. We did the research. We've got an overwhelmingly response rate of about 98% that said yes, cap it. What we don't want is unintended consequences. So we don't want to see these companies walk away from delivering for these businesses. So we've got to make sure that that doesn't happen. We want them to make a profit. We understand. We just think that they're gouging our local businesses a little too hard. So that should go to council next week, February 2nd. The other thing, if you guys, I noticed there's some new people on the call. I moved here from the Seattle area about 7 months ago. If you guys haven't heard of the RAD card, R-A-D, RAD card, get the app. What they'll do is 100% match up to $200. So if you put $100 on it, you get $200. It's a no-brainer. Every time I get it, I max it out. And you can use these at all these different businesses downtown. What we're looking at the city, the reason I bring it up is we're trying to make it a citywide program. Right now it's for the downtown businesses, but we'd love to have it out here on McHenry Avenue and on Oakdale and even out in Turlock. Maybe it'll be a countywide, but the more businesses that'll use it, the better we'll be. We're thinking we need to put another $1 million into it, up to council if they want to do that or not. So those are two of my updates on what's happening at the city. Valerie, you mentioned an inclusive economy. I just want you to know that's part of our strategic plan here at the city of Modesto. It's written right into it. That's under our workforce development. So we're doing things like working with Johnny at the Latino Chamber of Commerce. We're trying to, and we've got a new website that we'll be developing over the next 2 months. On that, I want to have highlights of minority, women, and veteran-owned companies. We just did a grant program. We applied for a grant to the state where we can get our underserved community access to capital, because what you have is a lot of the underserved community who want to either open a dispensary or a manufacturing cannabis or hemp organization, but they don't have the capital and they can't get the loans from the bank. So we're trying to apply for a grant program that would give them access to that capital. In our department, we're pushing for leniency on zoning and planning laws. A great example of that is we just had a gentleman who came in and wanted to open kind of like a grassroots pharmacy with educational courses in the back. The area wasn't zoned for it. We pushed hard and said, hey, this is part of building an inclusive economy. We got it rezoned for him so he can open up that business, things like that. So it's kind of subjective. And then I put in a grant for an incubator, an all women's incubator that would be downtown. No response on it yet. The idea is to have daycare there, have it for our underserved community, have people be able to go into a co-working space, have access to the internet, computers, workstations, and then have daycare provided there. So that's something that we're trying. But I'll stop my fire hose. Valerie, I just wanted to let you know that building an inclusive economy is a very much part of our work plan and economic development, and we're tracking what we're doing in those efforts. And I'll stop.
Fantastic. Any other open dialogues? It's totally appropriate right
Any
now.
questions for me about economic development or what's under construction, what you guys are seeing? Let me know. I'll answer
I
any
do.
questions.
It's Duwan. And sorry, I'm looking all weird because I'm on 3 screens and my camera's down here. But so the RAD card, how does those funds help the restaurants? Because are they actually getting the 100% of whatever you're spending, or does part of that money go into another program, or how is that working?
No, so the city put money into it, the county put money into it, the community foundation. Trish might know what the other members were. The downtown partnership is actually controlling that. But you just, as a customer, get double your money. So if you put on $50, you get 100, and you can go use it like Skewers or Fuzio's, any of the restaurants. They're all listed on the website. It's Josh's program with the downtown partnership, but the business gets 100% of those funds. If you're out and about, if you guys have gone out to eat, you probably heard someone over your shoulder saying, oh, you're going to use your RAD card, and you just show them the app on your phone, give it to your waiter or waitress, and they'll take it and take care of it. It's too good to be true. Get it if you don't have it. And the businesses are absolutely, some of the businesses that we talked to they said 40 to 60% of their sales are coming from the RAD card.
Yeah.
So that's the data.
I personally used it.
That really launched originally to support restaurants downtown, to help them when this all started, and it's just continued to develop from there. And there's a logo or a brand that I think every business participating has it on their front door or their window somewhere, so you know that they're one that's utilizing it.
Yeah, and they're in different cities as well, not just Modesto. So I believe there's some in Turlock and Escalon and Oakdale. There's a big list.
Turlock.
Yeah.
It's a county program. Yeah, it's for all the downtowns in Stanislaus County.
Duwan, they refunded that, which is why it's rolled out again, and that's when they've added other cities. It was really just Modesto downtown that first round, but the second round they've broadened it out.
I have a question about the RAD card too.
Go ahead.
The teacher that had told me about it, she said that if you had put the funds, I think like if you're in Houston and you put the funds in Houston, then you can only use those funds in Houston. Is that correct, or no, it's just?
I'm not sure. Are you, Tim?
I'm not sure. As far as I know, the RAD card is unique to Stanislaus County. So what you've got is other counties and other cities doing similar programs. There's probably 10 or 15 of them across the country. The RAD card is just unique to Stanislaus. But you can put your money on anywhere and use it anywhere around here. Like I said, I advise you guys to go do it right after this. It's just doubling your money, and the businesses benefit from it. It's a win for everybody.
There, she just did it. Thank you, Valerie. Anything else from anyone else?
We have a couple new people, like you said. Can we do like a little brief overview of some of the goals of Rising Professionals? Like some of the ideas that we've had?
Sure. Deshay, do you want to take that?
I'll be happy to. Thank you, Trish. And I have a great write-up that Trish and Felicia provided to me. So I'm going to read part of that so I make sure that I don't miss out anything. Do you know that this is a new group and it is a program of the Modesto Chamber of Commerce? It is open to not only chamber members, but non-chamber members. So we really want any age group. So if you have an interest in leadership, connecting with other leaders in our community, learning more about our community, this will be the place for you to come. Our mission is on the screen there that you can see: to engage, empower, and connect rising professionals in the Modesto region. That's not just Modesto proper only. So we're glad to have Turlock folks on and help us spread the word through Turlock. Through civic engagement, professional development, and community involvement opportunities. So we actually were working on some pillars back before we were really kind of trying to get this going. And Tim and I have talked, and he's put a lot of work into this as well. But really what I call our pillars, or our core focuses, is actually going to be professional development. There again, civic engagement, networking, mentoring. So we hope to bring you some mentoring opportunities as well. Women in business, some business startup training that we hope to have those opportunities. And then we're going to do a coffee with series. We want to grow this group, but we think that we can have some great leaders in our community that otherwise our members would not have access to, and have a coffee series with them during our lunch meeting. I know that sounds a little bit off, but we'll have lunch early and you can have your coffee right after during our new meeting. But bringing in some great leaders in our community, and that way it can be question and answer, can ask them anything you want. We're really excited about that. We're also talking about doing an annual volunteer project in the Modesto region. And we can decide as a group what that will be, how extensive that will be. We want to make this group easy for everybody to participate, and we really want you to get something out of it. The last area that is one of our core focuses is our philanthropy series. And so you'll be hearing from some nonprofits, getting to know what's available in our community. We have in the county, Stanislaus County, I knew the number of nonprofits we had off the top of my head at one time, and I can't recall that number for you today. I do apologize. But I operate 3 nonprofits. And Trish, I don't know if you have that number off the top of your head, or maybe Tim does as well.
In the community?
I'm sorry?
Community-wide, I don't know the number. Chamber members that are nonprofits alone are about 120.
Right. And those are just chamber members, and not all
Yes.
nonprofits are chamber members as well.
Correct.
So we have extensive nonprofits that do amazing work throughout our community. They are looking to expand. They're not always just looking for your dollars. They're looking for volunteer. They're more importantly just trying to get the word out that, hey, we're here and this is what we do. So we want to give them those opportunities. And we just really want to have relationships among professionals. Where we'll have a group. If there's something that I can ever help you out with, Trish, Tim, any other member in our group, we want it to be where you can just pick up the phone, call us and say, hey, can you give me some advice on this? Or I'm kind of stuck on this, or I've got this situation, or hey, can I bounce something off your shoulders as well too? So we just want to be here for each other. Tim and I cannot wait for us to be able to meet in person. We want to have some socials as well, and just really get to know each other and have some fun. So we want to have some fun along the way. And right, Tim? We're gonna have the fun element to it, whether Trish is like, no, Trish is probably gonna go back, okay, you guys are having too much fun over there. I always believe that you gotta have a little fun and a little chuckle into the hard work that we do every day. So we don't want this to be a meeting that you feel like, oh my goodness, I've got to attend and I've got to listen to some boring speaker. Sometimes we may have a speaker, sometimes we may not. It just be a sharing time. So a lot of great things in store. More importantly, what I want you to know is, because this is the ground floor of this group, all ideas, feedback, thoughts, impressions, anything is more than welcome. Like I tell my group, I said, nothing is a bad idea. And I said, let's just throw it all on the wall and see what sticks. So I want to extend that invitation to all of you to make sure that you share it with Trish. You know how to reach out to us. I'm sure you have Felicia's email address. She is our chamber, our person that kind of does all our work for us behind the scenes. So I always want to say thank you so much to Felicia for always helping our group out. So please keep that in mind, even if it's just 11 o'clock at night, drop us an email. You've had this great idea. We want to hear it, okay?
Absolutely. The goal for me, broad scale, is all the new programs and the things we have going on at the chamber, bring people together to get inspiration, encouragement, share mentorship opportunities, support one another, spread the wealth, have some fun, because otherwise, you know, life's serious enough. So if you're going to support one another, you got to do it with a smile and feel good about it. That's where the positive energy comes from. So please help us spread the word and engage as we formulate all these things. It's going to just lead us to great next steps going forward. And I'll also give props publicly to Felicia here. I'm throwing stuff at her left and right now, and she's trying to stay above water with all these new programs. I'm fielding stuff to her constantly, and I'm just waiting for her to say, stop, I need a break. So far, she's hanging in there.
Exactly. Trish, can I mention one other thing to them?
Sure, absolutely.
Is that as you would like to invite other people to join us next month, it'll be the last Wednesday of the month, and you'll be seeing email blasts go out from Felicia. Thank you once again. We also have a little email that Felicia can send to you if you would like to share part of that email to let others know, some of your colleagues and your friends and people in your network. Just let Felicia know. You can put it in the chat or email her afterwards. She'll be happy to send that email to you. That makes it very, very easy to invite others to this group. You don't have to take the time to pick up the phone. Just send an email blast out or think of someone and invite them to our group. And while I'm on here real quick, Deborah, thank you so much. It's a pleasure meeting you. I can't believe we haven't connected in our community and we haven't crossed paths. It seems like maybe we have in the school system, since we do so much work and contract with so many schools right at this time for the support groups that we provide to all of our school districts in Stanislaus County as well. So, but thank you so very much for sharing your story. I know you could probably talk to us for an hour and we still wouldn't get all the story, but very interesting. We appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, and you've both been on the Business and Education Committee over time. So that first and foremost was why I didn't realize you didn't know each other. I would have introduced you more formally. Just a note, I did record the core content of this. I'm going to stop recording now. We are